All right, so thank you for joining me. As you know, the region has implemented BLS provider skills. Many folks think that this is an additional um, skill that's being pushed upon them. But in all reality, when agencies signed on to do any of the BLS adjuncts that are regulated by the region, they agreed to do yearly trainings for those skills. So all we are doing now is asking you to document such. And with the electronic system that we have, it should make it easy for you folks to document. So starting off, just a reminder that BLS skills are due by December 31st, 2019, and then December 31st every year thereafter. That does not change that ALS skills are still due in June and the end of June and the end of December. But for BLS, it's only annual. So first I'll start off by just a quick reminder of how to get your providers online. So the easiest way to do it is when you click on our website, and there's a great big blue button that says click here to access the online CME site. I gotta give it a minute here, it lags behind the screen. And then you have the folks hit register. They need to put in a primary agency code for the agency that they are going to be primary to, which is an important concept, is they have to, if they're with more than one agency, they have to choose a primary agency. And as you can see, it comes up on the screen with the primary agency based on the agency code that you put in. You can then choose, so Cheryl, I'm going to come run with you guys. So I am going to be in Alex Bay as well, so I choose whatever other agency I may be within our region. If you're with an agency in another region, you just contact us, and my counterpart in Central New York or Mid-State can fix you up with putting that agency in as well. So please do not have your providers hit all. When they hit all, every agency moves over, and mind you, there are people that have done that, and then we have to take them all out and then try and figure out which agency is their primary. So again, one agency needs to be a primary, so make sure you ask your provider that if they're with another agency, and you'll understand why when you see the system as we move forward. They fill out their demographic information, their certification level, their number. So the CPR certification, they should fill it in. They have to put something in there. I'm not as concerned about that. But then they have to hit this box at the bottom, which people sometimes forget. And this is basically agreeing to finish, that they'll finish and they'll agree to follow ALS or BLS protocols in the region. And until they hit that button, they will not get the submit button. And of course, they have to submit it. When they submit, I will receive an email. Jonathan and I will both receive an email, as well as whoever the designated CME manager is for the organization that they have registered. Then the organization and or the provider needs to send us a copy of their EMT card. At that time, we will verify their EMT card. Once we verify it, we will hit them as verified in the system, and then the CME manager will receive an email back that they are verified, and these are automatically generated emails. If you're an ALS provider, you will have to go take the test appropriate for your level of care. If you're a BLS provider, it'll tell you to go take the test, but at this time, that is not mandatory. You may see a change in that with the implementation of the new BLS protocols once the state gets their training up. So right now it is not mandatory, even though they will get an email for them to do that. Any questions on the registration process?
Nope.
Okay.
And this is Peter Hoyt.
Yep.
But do we have a list of who's already on there?
So
If we bring it.
Yep. So the best thing to do is whoever the registered CME manager is can pull that list up. I will show you, but we can pull that list as well and send it to you. And I'm just
Okay.
jotting down
Thank you.
a note to do that for your department. Okay. So
as far as
whoops,
let
go
me
ahead.
jump in. As far as registration goes, some of my group of EMTs is not so IT inclined. Can I just sit down and register them, kind of with them, to
Absolutely.
facilitate getting them all done at once?
Yep, absolutely. You can do that.
All right.
And I have done that for some of the providers and the departments that I am in. So that's registration in a nutshell. And so basically, with the system, well, again, and let me go back to actually before we get going with the system, I am going to go back to our website. How do you get your skills done? So if you are an agency who has the equipment and has somebody available or can schedule with somebody available that has some type of instructor qualifications, and you would like to set your agency up as a EMS EMS skills evaluation agency, or it's I guess a CME skills evaluation agency, you need to go to our resource library on our website. And if you just use the search button and type in a couple keywords, so I'm going to type in CME evaluation, it will come up with your agency application. And my recommendation for finding any forms is type a couple keywords in the name, and it's got a very sensitive search that'll bring up multiple forms for you. So your agency, what's it doing here? Did I not click on that? CME evaluation. So you click on the application, it's your basic agency demographics. It does show what you need to be an agency. So again, having the appropriate equipment available to provide the hands-on scenarios, agree to conduct hands-on training using the scenarios, be approved by the REMAC, which means sending this form in and we'll get your approval from the REMAC. You need to maintain sign in and out sheets for each CME sessions if you are an evaluation agency. On file, we will look for them during inspections. You need to agree to schedule CME sessions open to all regional providers. We're asking that you do it by January 1st and July 1st. We understand the difficulties in trying to plan out your year. So at a minimum, we haven't held everybody to this. At a minimum, though, we got to have a couple weeks notice. But the sooner you do it, the better, because you are also agreeing that you are opening up these trainings to anybody within the region that needs them. So you need to ensure the session is conducted by a provider that is in good standing with the region, and we prefer that they hold instructor certification to teach something, whether they're New York State CIC, CLI, NAEMT courses, AHA courses, National Safety Council courses, etc. So you fill this out, and it needs to be signed by the agency chief operations officer if it's different than who's filling out the form above. And that's basically just to get approval to be the agency, and then on the second page of it, it tells you what you need specific to whatever your level of care is for equipment. at a minimum. So once you're approved as a CME evaluator agency and you want to do scheduling, there's a CME scheduling form. And again, it's a very simple form to fill out. You will be issued a CME evaluator code, which will be your agency code to keep life easy. You put down who's going to do the session. So, you know, maybe one time it'll be me doing it. The next time it may be somebody else doing it. So you're not held to naming one person. Where the location is, what level you're going to be doing. Remember, critical care providers cannot sign off on paramedics, so it's got to be a paramedic. And then also indicate if you're doing BLS, which adjuncts you will be training on. The date, the time, and provide an RSVP from your department for the session and send it to Jonathan. He will approve the session, and once he approves the session, it will be posted on our website. So now that you say, well, how do I know where sessions are being held because I'm in an agency or I couldn't make my own agency CME evaluator session? Again, go back to the home page of our website, scroll down a little, and you'll see a listing of calendars of upcoming EMS events. So the best thing to do is on the bottom, make sure you guys can see that. There you go. Click to see full calendar, and then you can go through all the months and you will see them listed. Now, as you see, there's not a lot here in August because agencies haven't scheduled yet, although a couple of them have. But you can click on the session, you can see where it is. So for example, tomorrow morning I am doing one at Ogdensburg Fire Department. It'll be level of care will be BLS, and the adjuncts tested are listed there. And if somebody wanted to join that from the region, they just have to email me so I make sure I have enough forms and enough equipment. So again, down here on the 28th, there's one. So Potsdam Rescue has scheduled one, and you see all the information there, and they are doing up to the critical care level. Now, just for reference, I am going to, with semester ending in June, if you go back to June, as you can see, there are a multitude of sessions scheduled all over the place. So you tend to see more scheduled when you get towards the end. So, any questions on that?
No.
And again, this provides opportunities all over the place for your providers to go anywhere to get their CMEs. You know, so if they work in another county, they can go into an agency in another county if that's more convenient for them. So, if there's no questions on that, whoops, I went to the wrong one. I went to the FDRHPO home instead of my home page. We will get right into the nitty-gritty of recording it. So, all right. So back onto the online CME website. If you are the CME manager, and I am actually going to log in, not as an administrator, but as a CME manager. So when I log in, and this is the screen that you should see as you log in, it will be as simple as this, right? So I'm just going to run through all of these quick so you have an idea. So take a test. You can, if you're asked to take a test, or if there's a test that you want to take or you want your folks to take that are in there, because you can ask them to, you can go in and find the test and start it. Now keep in mind, we share this with Susquehanna, Finger Lakes, Mid-State, and Central New York. So pay attention to your initials and look for North Country EMS or whatever we guide you to. And there are some just general tests in there. You can go in and under My Test, will tell you every test that you've taken and whether you passed or not. So just as an FYI, and I always love to show this because I get a giggle out of this, if you don't pass, so in 2009 when we were testing the system, we wanted to see if you could pick C and pass the test by just picking C. The answer is you cannot. So as you can see, in 2009, by picking C, I failed my protocol test for critical care. So don't try to pick a C. The My Classes, Request a Class, and List Classes are fields we are not using right now. Central New York uses them extensively for their CICs to schedule classes, and it's something we may see moving forward. If you click the agency button, it should give you the demographics of your agency. And if you see something that is incorrect there, please email Jonathan or I so we can correct that. And again, it's just the demographics and contact information. And they are automatically pulled from our database. So if it's wrong on here, it's wrong in our database, and we need to get that corrected. So, especially when agencies have administrative changes, it's important to let us know. So, under regional CME sessions, again, I am CME manager. I am CME manager for a couple different agencies. So you won't have to worry about this unless you have more than one. So I would pick the agency that I'm going to enter folks in. And then all of your semesters will be listed. Again, remember, ALS folks have to turn stuff in June. So if you are a CME manager for an ALS agency, you need to enter your providers, your ALS providers in June and December, but you will always pick December to enter your BLS providers. Even if it's January, they can do their annual skills in January. Just log it for December of that year, or you won't be able to see it without going back into the other semester. So I will get the semester I want. I will hit search, and voila, there is the list of providers for the agency. Okay? I make you dizzy by scrolling too fast. So a couple things. Under this list of providers, you will see a green star by some names, and you will not see a green star by some names. So if you see the green star, it means they are primary to that agency. And if you don't see a green star, I'm gonna throw Tyler Clark here under the bus. You will see where you can still see whether his CMEs are done or not. Okay, so again, this agency has already started putting notes in for this semester. Okay. So you will be able to see all your providers. So if there's an issue with a provider, you will see a red line there that says, please contact the program agency. Okay. So I'm going to bring myself up here, and I'm going to say that I was a good girl and I got my CMEs done. So to document this, I would document skills done on, we'll use today as for day 8/1/19 at, and you can write in the agency, or let's say I do it at Ogdensburg, I'll put in the agency code. And again, for BLS, that's all you need is skills, so that's all you need to do. For ALS, if they have their required lecture hours or didactic hours, then you would put in, whatever training. So let's say I did the Spring Fling conference. Whoops, I can't even type today. Sorry. Conference, and I got 10 plus ALS hours. Okay, so you could potentially use this if there was anything in your agency you wanted to track for BLS, but ALS have to have those hours as well. And then you would hit the no button here if I'm complete, and it'll change to yes. But here's the caveat. You can go in and enter multiple people. So let's say I entered Colin as well. So skills done. Okay, so let's say I made a change with him as well. As you can see up here in the upper left-hand corner, I got a little green disc that shows I've made 2 changes. You have got to hit save or it will not save your changes. When I hit save, I will get notes saying that my transaction was successful. Did everybody see that pop through?
Yes.
So it's really as simple as that. Now let's say that Ann Smith is no longer with this agency and you haven't contacted our office regarding that. You can just type in no longer with agency and we will catch that, and we will either get a hold of them and find out what agency they're with, or we will send them, a no affiliation letter to have them respond to us to update the system. Okay, so if they are out on medical leave, type that so we're aware. If you look at the provider credentialing manual that's on our website and was sent out with this, it talks about military deployment, it talks about medical leave, and both of those situations upon the return of the provider is when you do their skills and get them back in the system. So in the meantime, if you just type that information in there, we know that and we understand why their skills are not done, and we won't send them a suspension letter or send the agency a letter suspending their adjuncts, depending on whether you're BLS or ALS. So I'm going to pause for just a minute while I change this back. Is there any questions?
And can you have more than one manager?
Unfortunately, not for the agency. The system doesn't do that, but we've had some agencies that can put rules in their email. And for example, when I get one of these emails, I actually have a rule in my inbox that says send it to Jonathan. So not only does it come to me, it automatically goes to Jonathan. So if that was something that you wanted to communicate or ensure somebody else was getting the communications, you could do, but the system will only accommodate one CME manager per agency.
Okay, thank you.
Trying to make sure I put all the changes back there and didn't have anything there. Again, if you want to look back to a semester, you can pick any of the back semesters, search, and again, it will show you. Again, so ALS should all say yes. Again, and if they don't, it's something that so here I'm gonna this one here. So he's actually in the Central New York region as well. So you can see how they put the documentation in. So pretty simple as far as entering them. And again, you can do them all at once and then hit save once. You don't have to hit save in between each one. But please remember to hit save at the end. We've had that happen where they thought they had put them all in and they didn't. So again, under my CME semesters, you'll go in. You can. Oh wow! Apparently, I got a new. I wonder where that came from. Apparently, I got my name on another company here, so I don't even know where it is. I wonder if I clicked that when I was doing a training. And then you can click the semester and it'll show you your own CMEs. So again, and it shows for each agency that I'm with. And as you can see, my skills were done on 6/8 at Parishville. And I've done the paramedic program 20 plus hours for this year. So do not use, so going back up to the top, do not use the order PCR buttons because that will go to Central New York. You just have to email us to get PCRs or give us a call if you're still on paper. And then here's the next important one, My Account. Please have your providers, this is their easy way to update their information with our office. So when you go into the account, as you can see the boxes that are kind of opened up, if I were to change my address, my phone number, I can go ahead and put that information in there. When they renew their card, you cannot change that information because you need to send us a copy of their card. So when they get new cards, send the card to our office, and you can do that by email. You can scan it and email it to us. You can fax it, although we have a hard time reading the faxes because they're not very clear. It's hard to differentiate the EMT numbers and the expiration date sometimes. Or you can take a picture on your cell phone or their cell phone and email it to us as well right off your smartphone. Those are actually the nicer ones. We can read those nice and clear. And we will update that. So you may get Jonathan reaching out to a CME manager saying, you know, we have all these providers. It says they're expired. Do you have updated cards? And ask for an update on providers. As you can see, the provider or your email is your login, and we cannot see the password on the back side. It just automatically defaults to all these dots, so we do not know your password. But we should have you set so you can edit your own password by using the Forgot Password button. Okay. And so just to give you an idea, on the back side, when we're looking at it, so this will tell you that I manage Lisbon and Ogdensburg, and my primary agency is Ogdensburg because I have ALS skills. So we are working on some new functionality on the back side of the system. So for ALS agencies, we'll be doing RSI. We're going to have that option to record them. And we have some MDs in the system that we had to address as well. So again, if your providers can go in, and again, let's say I joined Alex Bay, I can go in as a provider and add Alex Bay to my list. Okay. So I can go to Beaver Falls and Belleville. I can be with all those departments. Or I can remove them. So your providers can update this as well. Okay. And again, as always, there's always a save button on any of these. And you will get a note that your transaction was successful. So that's really it in a nutshell. And the red button is your logout button. So Any questions?
I don't think so.
And how do you become the CME manager on the system?
So your department appoints you as a CME manager and sends us a correspondence or a CME manager update. Oops, let me get back to my form. So on my website, under the resource library again,
Okay.
you can search out, let's see, so we want CME Manager. So there's a CME information update request. So you can see how sensitive, whoops, I just lost it. You can see how sensitive this is. When I just typed in CME, it's going to come up with that. It's loading here. And it should be a form. All right, it doesn't like me today. Let's try that again. So CME information update request. There it is. Right, and basically date, agency name, put your information in there, who your CME manager contact is, and again, send it to our office via email and or we got to actually update our new website on that form. So look at that. You guys found a job for Jonathan to do. Yay. He says thank you. So any other questions? So,
And the skills that you talk about for BLS, are those can you list those? It's not the practicals, right?
no. So basically, and let me get back to my website here, and I'm going to show you where the form is. So on the form or on the website under your resource library. And so I don't know that I mentioned this, so actually thank you for asking that question. So so you find, I've just started to type in CME skills and it comes up regional CME skills sheet for emergency medical technicians. And why did I get an automatic transport ventilator? CME skills. Oh, I get click happy sometimes and I hit the wrong thing. There it is. I swear to God, the website doesn't like me this morning. Okay. So your agency needs to do what skills that you're credentialed for. And right, not every agency has BLS CPAP. So basically, you pull up this sheet, it gives you a little brief rundown of some of the rules that surround it that we've talked about today. But all providers, right, because everybody has an AED on board, must do the adult cardiac arrest, the AED, and your instructor can utilize their own scenario. If they need help with scenarios, they can contact us. But basically, they just want you to do a scenario just like you do in an AHA class when they test you out. And they'll fill that out. If, let's say you took a CPR class this year, you can just attach a copy of your card and the CME evaluator can accept that as proof of this skill being done for the year. So that's the one with a little caveat. So if your agency's credentialed for check and inject, or which is now called syringe epinephrine, not check and inject any longer, or they use EpiPens, then they need to do the epinephrine. which is most all EMTs, because it's now taught in the curriculum. If you're credentialed for BLS albuterol, you need to be given a scenario by your person doing your skills and actually set up and administer albuterol treatment. If your agency is credentialed for BLS Narcan, again, the same thing. CPAP is the other adjunct, and blood glucose. And again, these are only if you're credentialed to provide those things.
So in our case, in Pierpont, we run with Colton quite a bit. It would be up to Colton to make sure that we're credentialed under any that Pierpont doesn't have. Is that correct?
Correct. But I mean, if you're running, you would have to, because you're not, unless they're listed in their system, which you should be listed under their CME system.
Okay.
If you're with the agency, then they can put those in. So.
Okay. Okay. We can discuss Colton.
Yeah, and because you're acting as a member with that, and again, if we need to do a phone call, we can do that.
Thank you.
So remember, I may run with 2 BLS agencies, and one agency has something and one doesn't. It doesn't mean that you can't. So let's say Pierpont, you could go in and put those all in. Because you're also with Colton, who does that. You know what I mean?
I believe I do. On their account, we can put in that they've got, say, albuterol or something that Colton has that we don't have, and we can put it on their account.
Correct, but you could go in under Pierpont and you could document the skills are done by that provider for albuterol under Pierpont, and because then Colton will be able to see that because you'll be listed under their system as well. So depends on who you make your primary agency.
Okay, thank you.
And that may happen in some other cases. So I may, let's say, for example, I have something in Ogdensburg that I'm credentialed to do BLS that I can't do in Lisbon. Even in Lisbon, I could, if you did that at a CME session, you could document that it was done.
Okay, thank you.
You can always document more skills are done. We also have the list of approved adjuncts for each agency published on our website now. If you look at that and you see that there's something there that you think you have that's not marked, please contact Jonathan or I so we can look at your file, because maybe we just forgot to update it. That has to be a report. That's not updated automatically from our website, so we usually only update that after REMAC meetings. So there may be a little bit of a lapse in between getting an approval and that update showing on the website. So, any other questions? And again, thank you, Peter, for that question, because I didn't explain all that otherwise.
And would you be able to email us the recorded version of this meeting?
Theoretically, yes.
Okay.
Or Jonathan can.
Okay, thank you.
So, and I'm hoping, if the recording is okay, that I may just be posting this for other folks to view. So, okay.
Sounds good.
Any other questions?
Not so much on the regional stuff, Ann, but has there been any word on the changes in CME hours that the state's requiring? I know in 2018 they were supposed to make some changes. Has there been anything new on that?
So our understanding is that the New York State Department of Health has got all the paperwork done to make those changes, and they are in the approval process at the state and will be out soon.
Okay.
But that's all the information we have. And while you're asking that question, since many of you saw that BLS protocol, new BLS protocols were to be implemented on August 1st, which is today, agencies should have received in my director's newsletter and website updates that the state has put together education to be put out on their learning management system. That is not completed yet, so they have developed a transition period, whereas once the education's out, you will have till December 31st to train all your providers and notify the program agency when you will be going live with those protocols. If something changes, as it may, I will be sure to correspond that or communicate that information with you folks. But right now, we do not have the state training that they are asking for published. Any other questions? All right. Hearing none, I'll give you guys back a little over 15 minutes of your day. I hope that you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, too, Ann.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Ann.
Bye.
Bye.